All right, welcome back. Steelers made a signing the other day. Will Graves, I'll start with you. Terrell Edmunds. They bypassed his fifth-year option. They essentially saved $4 million, a good business deal. Is it a good deal for the Steelers?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, I think Terrell had actually a pretty good year last year.
Yeah,
I was sort of surprised that the market was that light for him. But look, I mean, if this is a prove-it deal, I mean, I'm totally on board. Obviously, they didn't see somebody else on the market that they like to bring in instead. It also saves them from maybe having to find that guy early in the draft. I'm totally fine with it. It's actually sort of a shrewd move on their behalf. And I think, again, Edmunds knows what to expect in the defense. He knows what it's like to play back there. And he's, I'm stunned that he was available. So, yes, absolutely. I think it was a steal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I really do too. I think he's a good player. He's your classic. He's not a great player. He's a good player. And if he was a third-round pick instead of a first-round pick, I think people would look at him much differently. I think a lot of people are always disappointed in him. He's solid. He complements Micah Fitzpatrick really well. He's a good tackler, which, frankly, their defense needs more of. But $2.5 million, that's ridiculous. I thought for sure somebody was going to give him a pretty significant deal on the free agent market. Great move for the Steelers.
He stinks. No, actually, I agree with everything you guys are saying. And you know what? The other caveat I will add is that Minka's in a contract year. You're trying to sign Minka. He likes Edmunds. I think there's another reason to bring him back.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Jeff. The other thing, Josh, to your point, I think Trubisky's being looked at the same way, a victim of where he was drafted, number 2 overall. Yep. You expect him to be a Hall of Famer. Well, that's not going to happen. That doesn't mean he's bad, though. All right, let's move on. We'll talk about Miles Boykin. Will, they brought him in. He's been injured. You know, he has a nose for the football to get in the end zone, 7 touchdowns and 33 receptions. What do you expect from him?
I mean, look, that's a guy that I think just, it's sort of curious that he's available, right? I mean, I think, look, the Ravens are a team that sort of needs guys that can catch the ball, and they thought this guy was sort of, they were fine without him. So there's a little buyer beware on my end. I think he is okay, but I mean, he's ahead of Ray, but I mean, I don't know if that's damning with faint praise there. So for me, the jury's out.
I don't have a problem with the move. It's very difficult for me to gauge Ravens receivers because for all of Lamar Jackson's considerable talent, he's not exactly Dan Marino throwing the ball. Like, I don't know how good the receivers are. I don't know how good this guy is, but we've seen some flashes. And given the lack of depth the Steelers have at wideout, it made perfect sense to bring him in, I think.
Yeah, I love it. It's a no-risk move. I mean, you didn't trade anything for him. He's got to prove something, and he stays in the division where he's got to prove something, and this will tell a little bit about him, and he plays good special teams.
Well, in a couple of weeks, they're going to have to make a decision on Devin Bush. They did not give Terrell Edmunds the 5th year. They got him back. Will they give Devin Bush a 5th-year option?
I mean, on my end, if you look what happened with Terrell, I'm fine with them saying no, right? I mean, maybe it saves them $6, $7, $8 million. I mean, middle linebackers going heck of a lot more than safeties in their 5th year. So for me, I'm sort of like, make him prove it. I mean, he is not. I mean, the flip side of that is how much is ego involved in here? Let's remember all they invested to get him. And I wonder how much that carries and factors in their decision making. Will they admit they sort of maybe didn't make the right call here with this? That's the interesting thing. For me, I would not. I'd let him walk. I'd say, hey, prove it this year. And you know what? Either he hits big and cashes in, or maybe you get him on the cheap next year like they did with Terrell Edmunds.
Maybe they don't make the decision until after the draft, right? Because who knows how that could change things. Bush has been wildly disappointing. I don't think anybody would deny that. And yes, I know he tore his ACL. That's always the excuse that's made for him. But he never at any point has looked like the kind of player they thought they were trading up in the draft to get. I think they will give him the 5th-year option. They don't really have many other options, pardon the pun, at the moment. They really don't. I realize that they did bring in Miles Jack, but they are really thin there on the depth chart. I think they will give it to him, but boy, they're taking a chance because I really think he has bust written all over him.
If Miles Jack brings a little something to the table, I'd rather have Robert Spillane out there if Devin Bush is, having issues with his option not being picked up. I would not pick up his option. If he has a great year, you could talk to him about a new contract. You're just making him earn what he's supposed to earn. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
All right, got 1 minute left, so 2 questions, real quick answers for both. Will, number 1, should the Steelers draft somebody to help Najee Harris at running back because they really don't have much beyond him. He accounted for 84% of the offensive plays. And number 2, Baker Mayfield, where does he end up? And would it be here?
I mean, I think you can get any running back in there to take carries, to take 5-6 carries a game. So no, I don't think they need to draft a running back. With Baker, only if the Browns cut him. I mean, no team's going to trade for him. The Browns have totally screwed that up. And to be honest, I don't like Baker here anyway. I mean, I think they made their bed with Trubisky and Mason, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I don't think they need to draft a running back. I wouldn't mind seeing a veteran guy here with some experience to play with him. He had way too many touches last season, way too many. He's going to get hurt. They can't keep giving him the ball that often. As for Baker, I don't think he'll end up in Pittsburgh. How about Washington? They could use a quarterback. That'll be my guess.
They've needed a quarterback for 40 years.
I don't mind them rolling the dice on a tailback at the end of the draft, but they have too many needs to go after running back early in the draft. And as for Baker Mayfield, I would not want to see him here. I don't want a guy who's ticked off, bitter at the team he was just at, in with a potentially group of young quarterbacks. I don't want that. I don't want that around the Steelers if I'm them.
I agree with you. I don't think you will see him, but he'll get somewhere. We'll find out how that goes. When we come back, the Penguins lay an egg a week after Easter, Sunday. It's a bad one, too. We'll talk about it when we continue right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.